In the last hour, we learned the man that Aurora Police shot and killed earlier this month was unarmed. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kim Christensen.
And I'm Jennifer Meckles. Chief Todd Chamberlain says this all started with a response to a call about a suspicious person accused of trying to break into cars at a parking lot near DIA. When an officer got there, Chief Chamberlain said it quickly turned into a fight. The officer described it as a fight for their life. 9 News reporter Colton Chavez joins us live in Aurora tonight. Colton, tell us more about what you learned from this briefing today.
Yeah, Jenny, we just stepped outside Aurora Police Department headquarters and we've been speaking with family the entire time. And one thing that we learned is that through a picture that the family gave us, we were able to confirm that the suspect who was shot and killed by Aurora police officer is Rashad Johnson. Now, Chief Chamberlain was speaking with us inside about how this timeline played out, and they said that a call came in talking about Johnson in the parking lot around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, saying that somebody was being violent in the parking lot and trying to break into cars. But an officer wasn't dispatched until 5:18 p.m. Chief Chamberlain says the reason for that was because of how many calls of service they have. They said that was the soonest that an officer was able to get to that location. Now, Chief Chamberlain also said that the officer involved in the shooting showed up alone, which is standard protocol, and started making verbal commands to Johnson, which they say he did not respond to. Chief Chamberlain went on to say that after several minutes of trying to de-escalate the situation, which included the use of a baton and the use of a taser, which we saw in the video was ineffective. It did not stop Johnson. Johnson then attacked the police officer, pulling him to the ground. Now, in the body camera footage that we're going to be getting from APD, it shows that the officer started crying out for help as Chief Chamberlain says Johnson was pulling items off the officer's utility belt. Now, eventually, both the officer and Johnson stand up, and the police officer pulls out his gun and threatens to shoot him, and eventually fires off shots. Now, Chief Chamberlain says the officer had called for backup during that attack, so I asked Chief Chamberlain why the officer used deadly force against an unarmed man when he knew officers were on the way.
I think the important part is that the absence of a weapon does not mean that there's an absence of danger by any stretch of the imagination. And there's still a deadly threat. And that deadly threat continued to unfold in this event. And again, when you're looking at, I don't know how many people even in this room have been involved in a physical confrontation for 3 or 4 minutes. But those 3 or 4 minutes of being involved in that physical confrontation, I'm sure to that officer must have felt like 3 or 4 years.
Now, this is still an ongoing investigation. They both have an external and internal units looking at the entirety of this case. But at the end of the press conference, Jenny, one thing that I asked Chief Chamberlain was, is an incident like this going to start changing the way that APD responds to situations like this? And what I mean by that is, are we going to continue to send single police officers to the scene? And one thing that we've heard from several police departments is here at APD, they are understaffed, and this is something that they are looking into. But the way the chief described it is we're trying to find some sort of a balance to be able to respond appropriately while also protecting our officers at the same time. But that was all the information he could give us at this moment. Live in Aurora, Colton Chavez, 9 News.
Certainly an interesting question, though, to pose, Colton, because an officer by themselves showing up to scene, that just doesn't sound like it's going to be a safe option. So.
No, and the calls had been made well over 2 hours before this whole thing went down. So there's a lot of questions we still have. And Colton, we know you're going to have much more throughout the evening. Thank you.